The second trailer for Lanterns just released, and not only did we finally find the green in this Green Lantern show, but also this trailer, alongside an article that came out a few days beforehand, might have just changed everything we thought we knew about lanterns. Before we get into the trailer, let's discuss the article so that we have a basis for what I'm going to be talking about, as this article reveals that this series will follow two different time periods. This murder mystery taking place in the small town of Rushville, Nebraska, which by the way is a real place, which is actually surprising. I would have expected them to use a fictional location, but somehow the Green Lanterns are given the most grounded story. But anyway, this takes place in 2016, and then something else takes place in 2026, with Superman as well as seemingly all of the other DCU projects so far taking place in between. This changes everything, as it seems like Hal's line about all the other Lanterns being aliens from the first trailer is true, and Guy Gardner simply hasn't been recruited yet. And then John Stewart will, I guess, be the second human recruit to the Green Lantern Corps rather than the third, but also he will not be a rookie in the DCU. He will not be the new guy on the block in Man of Tomorrow. He predates Superman's debut by 4 years, and Guy Gardner's debut by, well, we don't know. We also learned that John's recruitment is an anomaly, the first time the Guardians intervened to appoint a new member, claiming to have just cause, probably linked to the events of Lanterns or the sheer amount of metahumans on Earth. Or maybe the just cause is simply that usually Lanterns don't live as long as Hal does, and when you get to this age, he's maybe slowing down and needs to be replaced. That said, the trailer actually promises scenes also set in two more time periods, when John was a kid and when he was in the army. I'm guessing in 2026 he's going to be Aaron Pierre's age, so 31, meaning he's only 21 in the 2016 events, likely right after he's discharged from the army. Then the military scenes will have taken place throughout his years as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, and 20-year-old, even if he does look a lot older. This means that those scenes take place all the way back up till 2013, and then we also see him as a kid in what looks like will probably be the early 2000s. The article also hints that we'll see Hal's origin, or maybe just him being trained by Sinestro, so this one season might cover a very long time period. But getting into the trailer, it seems like they heard the criticism of the first trailer because we jump right into the green of it all. Hal says that the ring is the greatest weapon in the universe, and we immediately see more than we saw in the first trailer in these few seconds. A big red beam coming down on Earth, blocked by Hal's force field energy construct. The article says that Hal comes to this town convinced aliens are involved, but the sheriff isn't convinced. Well, he's definitely 100% going to be right. The beam being red might be because it comes from the Red Lanterns, like Atrocitus, who is likely appearing in the series considering Anton's character description fits him to a T. However, the way it comes together from multiple beams into one feels mechanical, like it's from an alien spaceship, but I cannot tell you whose. I will say the effects here look great, and there are some standout visuals in this trailer, which I'll get to when we get to them. I really like the visual of how the construct comes together to form this dollar bill. It looks really nice. It should definitely happen quicker, and it does in combat situations, but this dollar also ends up looking a lot more dense and real. Maybe in the DCU, and I do like this idea, Lanterns can concentrate and then maybe take their time to actually form more tangible and everlasting constructs. Maybe if they take a very long time, the constructs can become permanent objects. We see how quickly his force field forms around him like a lightspeed defense mechanism. Hal himself could not have reacted that quickly to a bullet. By the time he would have realized a bullet was coming his way, it would have been in his body. So I like this. I never loved the idea that the Lanterns can be shot to death if they're caught off guard. A better way around this would be to give them the border glow they usually have and have it be a protective coating, but I guess this is good as well. John asks Hal how he got the ring, and his origin is hinted at, but don't worry, the article confirmed that his comic book origin is indeed canon. And we're even going to be seeing some of it, like later on in this trailer we see an Air Force funeral and a little kid with his mother. This is definitely Hal Jordan's father, who died in a plane crash. We even see Douglas A4 Skyhawks, which debuted in the 1950s, fitting Hal's age as he was likely born in the 50s, placing this scene in the 1960s. The article mentions how Abin Sur crashes to Earth, seemingly in the 1970s or 80s, or at least that's my guess, and the Ring chose Hal. He was then trained by Sinestro and went on to become a legend of the Green Lantern Corps, acting alone on Earth for decades longer than comic Hal, at least when it comes to his Green Lantern compatriots. But this connects to John talking about his own journey. Hal was randomly chosen by the Ring, not randomly, he was the most qualified individual, but John was chosen by the Guardians and feels like he might be a better fit than Hal was, saying that maybe Hal should have been interviewed, that he didn't work for his power. There will certainly be some sort of conflict between the two, a mutual lack of respect from both parties. The military-minded John Stewart does not appreciate Hal's flippant attitude, and Hal simply doesn't want to retire and be replaced. The rivalry will likely turn into immense respect, or maybe Hal will be the villain of this season, or both. We see John sitting with his family as a kid, watching what we later learn is Hal. In the comics, John does not belong to a big family. He has one sister, and she dies actually. It's actually Hal who has multiple siblings, although it is certainly also possible that these are friends of his and not brothers. These scenes should take place at some point in the early 2000s. Hal says he's been doing this since John was a baby, but I highly doubt John was anywhere near being born when this Hal Jordan began his career as a Green Lantern. The trailer does look far better than the first, but the fact that Hal flies away without suiting up just bums me out so much. It feels so wrong. Him breaking the sound barrier in the sky though, that's pretty cool. At the same time, while I wanted to suit up, I just cannot get past this suit. I guess it's meant to be olive green, but it looks brown, and it looks bad. It doesn't fit Kyle Chandler too well, looking too bulky for his body, making his head look too small. Kyle Chandler said there is a mask, but even if there is, he doesn't seem like he'll be wearing it much. I'm generally not a fan of this suit, and I am worried about the quality of the suits of everyone else, at least for this series. John says everyone is lying to us, and Hal says we aren't leaving here until we find out what they're hiding. Now, I'm going to be making a bold prediction here since it seems like it's actually the people of Rushville who are hiding something. I think we'll learn that select powerful people in Rushville were replaced by members of other Lantern Corps disguised somehow as human, or maybe one Lantern Corps, the Red Lanterns. Hal's intuition is right, aliens are definitely involved. John wearing this jumpsuit and holding the lantern feels like it comes from 2026. And I feel like I have a semblance of an idea of what's going on here, as we see Guy Gardner show up, meeting what seems like John Stewart in prison. Now, Guy Gardner, as a member of the Justice Gang, this is definitely in 2026, not 2016. But also, what's all this destruction happening here? Why was John arrested? And then you gotta ask yourself, if John is an anomaly, how was Guy added to the Corps, and why does he have a different ring? Well, I think the events of 2016 do cause Hal to disappear, and then John is captured and put into a coma by this gun, and then put into some sort of laboratory where he's experimented on or something like that. He wakes up in this coma in 2026 with a lantern. He won't remember how he got there, he won't remember how he got this lantern. I don't personally know how he got this lantern, but we will figure it out. But then he loses control of the lantern and causes all this destruction. These people show up, he's arrested, and then Guy Gardner shows up, and John Stewart learns that he's been in a coma for 10 years. In the absence of Hal Jordan, who maybe became a renegade or disappeared as well, Guy Gardner was chosen to protect Earth, but then somehow John returns as well. They then find Hal, and John finally gets the ring. So now there are two human Green Lanterns, something that was never meant to be the case. John Stewart was meant to replace Hal, and Guy Gardner was never meant to be a Green Lantern. And then John will have debuted before Guy, but has less experience than him, and then John actually will be the new kid on the block in Man of Tomorrow. And funnily enough, this is actually the opposite of how it went down in the comics. In the comics, it was Guy who was the second human recruited to the Green Lantern Corps as a substitute for Hal. But then he quickly fell into a coma, but then during his coma, John Stewart was recruited, and it was only after that that Guy woke up. I absolutely love the second half of the trailer, like seeing a young John watch Hal on the screen as he gives an interview about his origin is so cool. Like, there are definitely some upsides to Hal being this old. and they better make use of it. And then the "Are you afraid?" line transitioning into the rest of the trailer, echoing this line over and over like it's the central theme of the series, got me really hyped, as did what we saw during the rest of the trailer. We see Jon in the military parachuting out of a plane, which explains who this was from the first trailer, and we see how this will be a part of some flashbacks that show Jon's training, something that I'm assuming will be showcased in like one episode. It's poetic that his drill sergeant, wearing green, says what Hal said, "Are you afraid?" as the ability to overcome fear is what makes you worthy to be a Green Lantern. I hope this series delves into that. The Lanterns aren't fearless, they simply have an uncanny ability to look fear in the face and overcome it with their willpower. Sometimes literally, a lot of the times literally. This shot is actually gorgeous, like holy hell, it looks good. There seems to be a yellow light descending down to this alien planet, probably Sinestro, but maybe it's Hal. Maybe Hal lost the ring to Jon, but still has abilities, because he's possessed by Parallax. I say that because we then see Sinestro for the first time, although from the back of him, imprisoned in some sort of alien prison, visited by Hal. What if this is Hal without the Green Lantern ring but with Parallax abilities, descending onto this alien planet, where Sinestro is being held? This is probably not Oa, it definitely does not look like Oa, but it can be Korugar or anything else. And then, I don't know what's going on here, Hal and Jon together in the middle of the desert on what looks like an alien planet? Color me intrigued. I'm really not sure how Jon is able to jump like this without the ring, unless he does have the ring and you just can't tell. This shot of this explosion looks really great, and generally speaking, whenever this trailer shows something that looks like it'll require CGI, it looks great. Jon talks to a woman played by Laura Linney, seeming to try and convince her that he should be the Green Lantern. That fact, combined with the way she says Jon Stewart, makes me think she might just be a Guardian. Originally, the Guardians were only men, and obviously they're small and blue, but later comics added women, and it seems like a lot of the aliens on this show are going to be looking human when on Earth, in disguise. This could be Sade if she's good, or Scar if she's evil, or maybe a gender-bent one of the other Guardians. And then the trailer ends with Jon holding the ring. I gotta say, I loved this trailer. It was exceptionally edited around the "Are you afraid?" line and showed just enough to calm a lot of my worries regarding the green of this Green Lantern show, while also further intriguing me as to the series' storyline. And it sounds like it'll be a pretty complex one. I still have my doubts about things like Hal's suit, Hal being that old, or the general lack of people wearing costumes, but I'd say my excitement level has and is ramping up. I have no doubt this will be a fantastic TV show, and it seems like it will be a good Green Lantern show, but will it be a fantastic Green Lantern show? We still don't know yet. Let me know your favorite moment from the trailer in the comments down below, and see you later.